Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the live TT show. I am Andycharger, and I am joined by these five magnificent gentlemen all around me right now. So on my screen, they are all based up and down there and underneath, I think. So it's a big welcome. So before we start, we should introduce our two fantastic guests from the US today. So I'm sure all of you guys that are watching are well aware of the Garage Buds. I know that they've got a fantastic subscriber base. They put out some great content, not just only on the TT, but other cars as well. So, Ervin and Carlos, welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, everyone. Yeah,
thanks for the invite.
Great to be here.
No problem. Great to have you on. It's a real privilege of ours to have our friends from the US on. So, Ervin and Carlos, do you want to tell us a little bit about your channel and what you do?
Yeah, sure. This is Garage Buds. As it says here, it's people that love cars, so it's less about the car and more about the people that own them. And my car channel started really with the TT. I still have it. It's a 2001 225 Roadster with the infamous baseball seats. And I did restore that car, but I didn't record any of the restoration for YouTube. I had the idea after. But I still have a lot of content on the car and some of my other cars, and then the car community here in North Carolina. And then Carlos is my best friend from high school, so I've known Carlos literally forever. And
right.
And he's a contributor to the channel, and we have a series called Car Chat where we talk about different car topics, right, Carlos? So introduce yourself now. Yep.
Yeah, I'm Carlos Perez, and like Ervin said, we've been friends since honestly like seventh grade. So it's been a long while, and always in love with cars. Always a subject of cars has been in our minds, and I joined the channel just to have a series on car topics and all the variety of topics we cover in the series. So it makes it a little bit fun and interesting, and then our love for the cars continue to grow, as you can see.
And he's been humble, Andy, because he's a car engineer that works for one of the top car manufacturers in the U.S.
Oh, okay. So we're not allowed to advertise, I guess, but but as long as it's Audi and you can fix our cars, and that's great. We all appreciate that. Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for that intro. Right, so I guess usual suspects. Good evening, Dom. How you doing? Oh, you're on mute, Dom. Got yourself on mute.
There we go. Save me talking over anyone. Hey, everyone.
Good to see you, Dom. Chris?
Yeah, hi people. Evening all.
And of course, Steve.
All right, lads, what's the crack?
Good, yeah. Sorry, Dom, I cut you off in your prime then. You were about to say, Yeah, so we've so over the last few weeks, obviously we've had a couple of events in the UK. So last weekend we went to a new event down in Sussex. So we went to Talk Moto Cafe. New one to me, guys. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it was all right.
Yeah, I really liked it.
I think we'll be back there again at some point.
I think we could definitely fill their car park.
Oh yeah.
So there was not a single space left for anyone. Quite easily.
Many times over. We tried to keep that one a little bit intimate. We didn't push it too hard on the socials because we thought, well, they did say to us, well, we've only got room for 65 cars, and we know from Occam Bites we would double that if we were really pushing it hard. So we went down there with about 15, 20 cars, and there were some great supercars that turned up as well, I noticed, in the car park. Yeah. I didn't get a chance to go and look at them, but I know you guys were walking around up there. What did you think of those?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was good, mate. The thing what I took most away from it was I spoke to everyone who was there. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have a couple of minutes with every single person, have a bit of food, have a couple of minutes of just not talking and just walking around looking at cars. Whereas normally it's like, you know what I mean? You're trying to get around everyone like at a wedding. It's a nightmare.
Yeah. And Chris, you had the Mark II there.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. The Mark I has no MOT.
No. But
it doesn't go with the Mark II because I don't know. I thought that was not allowed. Mark II.
Yeah, we do actually at that mute. Yeah, that sort of meet. We had a maybe not as many Mark IIs, but we had about 4 Mark IIs that came along as well. So we're embracive of all the marks. We try and involve, although we do favour the Mark I quite heavily. But Chris has done some great work on that Mark I. Christian, tell us about what you've been up to over the last few weeks.
Yeah, so obviously it started like sort of this year really. I managed to get hold of a V6 style front bumper, and I fitted that to mine. But having the big welly cooler on, is not great. And obviously, the V6 front bumper, it's not really made for a turbo car, apart from obviously like a Quattro Sport sort of thing, where you've got the two side mounts. So putting a great big front mount on was a challenge. And a lot of the purists out there don't like it when you start chopping up a V6 front bumper. I chopped up that front bumper. It had to be done to get it to fit. And I mean, I spoke to Dom about it as well, and he's like, he would like a V6 bumper. The same as me, you don't want to see that pipe work on those side grills. So I had to find out a way of doing that so you didn't see the pipe work. So I ended up just making my own grills to cover that section. And I think it came out all right. I mean, it might be something I might get them 3D printed in the future or do something. But for the moment, I think it looks good enough. But yeah, it was a pain doing that. But I think it's turned out pretty well.
Right.
Chris, for anyone that's listening in, can you explain what the difference between say a 225 front bumper and a VR6? What is the actual difference when you look at them?
It's sort of like more on the lower bit, like on the V6 bumper, you've got like those like side sort of like little vent grill things going down the side of the bumper, and the lip is all basically anything from like the top grill down is just completely different. It's a lot more sort of pronounced, I would say.
It's squarer at the bottom.
Yeah.
Do you think those side vents on the V6? Do you think that's to channel air through to cause some sort of aerodynamic effect, or is that just aesthetics? What do you think?
Probably just
I say aesthetics.
Yeah.
I bet
It definitely goes it somewhere. It's
Mixed
not
bag.
blocked off. So from that perspective, I guess it's
Air must get
You know
in.
what I mean?
Maybe does it get to the brakes at all or anything? Who knows?
yeah. There is a brake cooling duct, isn't there?
Yeah, it could be.
That's the thing. The 225 and the 180, obviously, underneath that bumper, it rounds off quite significantly. So when you look at that compared to that, like I said, it's more squared off. Whereas that sort of 3.2, it almost like channels the air in, which is, I don't know.
It is a good looking bumper. So it had to be done. And then obviously one coming up in the same colour as well.
Yeah. I mean, hats off to you. Hats off to
There
you
were
for
a couple
doing
of aero engineers around that opening, making sure that we get more of the cooling air needed.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm pretty sure it's very common to see.
Yeah, I guess there must be some sort of compromise between how much you, particularly on a turbo car, on those intercoolers that you've got down there, is how much cooling air you can get down there to those without exposing to. I mean, if you took that front bumper off and drove it around, then you're going to get nice cool air going to it and great airflow, but you're going to get some sort of resistance. Again, it's not going to be aerodynamic, and you also run the risk of a stone coming up and damaging it and causing all sorts of problems for you. So but obviously on the 3.2, obviously we don't need to worry too much about those big intercoolers as much as we do on the on those 225s. There's a bit like the battery. You haven't got to worry about the battery tray, have you, on the 3.2? You got the battery's obviously in the back, and you've got that great loads of space under the engine bay, so you can use the side of it to work on the engine, but I know for a fact that's not the case. But so anyway, Stephen, how's life in Ireland? What's going on with the car? Have you bought that second TT yet?
So about the second TT, I rang up the owner, and unfortunately they weren't able to talk. They're quite an elderly gentleman. He's like 85, so his daughter actually answered the phone. I was there chatting away to her, like, trying to politely say, maybe I'd be interested in buying it. She's like, my brother, like, he lives abroad and he wants to come back to Ireland and we want to keep the TT in the family. I was like, okay. And I was like, I'm just an enthusiast. I have my own car. Like, maybe I would be interested in the second one. And then she gave me like her first name. I was like, Ruth. I was like, where do you work? And she was like telling me where she works. I was going, you used to cut my hair. Like, I knew her. Like, and then it turned out that she went to school with my dad. So the two of them would have been classmates. So like, I haven't gone to see it yet, but I'm just like, I've already made friends with the family. So there might be the opportunity, but the only downside to really getting a second TT is obviously like the tax in Ireland is incredibly high for these engines. So there's, I think it's 650 or something like that. So like running two of them, you're kind of eyeing up, going, well, do I really need a second or not? But my car is soon going to hit 200,000 miles.
Ooh,
so
wow,
nice.
Big mileage.
Spring chicken.
She's only getting run in now. So
they live on.
I was kind of thinking, going like, just in case if anything ever catastrophically happened, it could be kind of cool to have another car with low mileage. And when they're so cheap now versus in maybe 4 or 5 years' time when they really skyrocket, maybe now is a good time. But on the other side, what am I meant to do with 2 TTs? It's like having 2 wives or something like that.
I wouldn't know what that's like. Like, I've got an idea.
You can only ride one of them at a time. Like,
I lost track with Dominic. How many?
talking about the cars, Andy. I'm talking about the cars.
I was going to say, yeah. Well, I don't know. It depends how talented you are.
Stephen, is your missus watching?
No, she's actually at work right now, but she does log in occasionally.
Yeah, okay. Well, you'll be getting no dinner tomorrow, will you? So there you go. Okay, so we've got a few questions coming into the chat, guys. So
Yeah, cool.
Ben's updated us on the those vents on the 3.2. He says the side vents are closed. He thinks the twin slats, the grill on the left and right, are different on the manual and auto too. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Someone said my dad has a Mark II 2-litre TFSI. Do you have any ideas or good suggestions for modification? Well, that's definitely in Car Chris's ballpark, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
Dom's
check out my channel. I've done a few modifications on it in that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're, I'm sure all of you guys that are watching are subscribed to many of the people around this virtual table. But if you're not, I will put all the links in there in the video description. But yeah, definitely check out Car Chris 82. I think you are on YouTube, aren't you, Chris? Pretty sure you are.
It's weird that it does that, but yeah.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be Car Chris, but it was always comes up as Car Chris 82, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's must be using your year of birth because you've been being a young whippersnapper of only 40 years old. So
exactly.
There you go. Yeah. Obviously, mine's Andycharger 83 because I'm younger than Chris.
Yeah, you wish.
Yeah, or maybe 8 years older. Yeah. Anyway, so what other questions have we got? Yeah, let's have a look. Oh yeah, that's the same question that's popped up. Then we had a question about headlights pop up earlier as well from Stephen Morgan. Do you guys have a link for someone that upgrades, restores the headlights of DRL Southwest if possible? Well, I don't know anyone in the Southwest. Headlight upgrades. What are we thinking?
Headlight upgrades are a hard one. Other than obviously giving them a machine up and a paint, which there's quite a few places that do it mobile. There's not really that many places you can get them done.
Yeah, I've seen a few upgrades though, where you can get sort of almost like LED looking headlights with different lighting around it. So that is another option.
Who does them now though? I know Hakan used to, but he stopped doing it.
And I think that's the thing in the UK, and I guess this is for you guys in the US. So if you were taking your TT and you want to modify it, what's the market like for Mark 1 modified components in the US? Easy to get, hard to get?
Yeah, with eBay, I mean, you can get a lot. And I've done modifications where I've gone back to OEM, and the headlights were one of them. I bought this that looked very futuristic, and they have like LED. And I almost crashed one night. I couldn't see. So that was it. I went back to OEM. And I think some people, replace the lamp for a more powerful lamp that looks like LED and more bluish, sort of white light. I haven't done it, but that's something I have in my list. Yeah.
Okay. I might have some good news for you on that component as well.
Oh man.
Yeah, I might do. I had a message back from, I don't know if Adam Tankard's on, but I had a message back from Adam today, and I think he said he might have one. So Carlos was after a part, and obviously
I was about to say Adam's the man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has been impossible to get the ABS pump. I saw one in Lithuania, and there was one in the Ukraine, and I said, well, I don't know, because the part itself looks like a bomb.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I don't know if you've seen it. And there's a number of part numbers, and it has to be the exact one for that car.
Yeah.
It's been very hard to get. Very hard.
So I will. I'm gonna, after this call, I will drop Adam a message back and see if we can sort that and how I can. Because obviously you're going to be in the UK next week. So next Monday evening, a few of us are going to be descending on your hotel, I think, in Brentford. So guys, if you are local to Southwest London, you want to come along and meet Ervin next week. We're going to trying to get together about 7:30 at the hotel. Bring your TTs along. and we'll upset the concierge by parking everywhere in the car park and
That'll be
showing them
awesome.
what a great scene we have. And most of the people that are coming so far that are coming are 3.2 drivers actually. So
Yeah.
I think Lewis is coming along. I think obviously I'm coming along. I think Kyle's coming along with his 3.2. So yeah, I think we should have a few different cars on display for you, so you'll better see what we've got.
Awesome. I'll do some vlogging and I'll bring some merch for the guys.
Definitely bring some merch. We love merch.
Yeah,
Absolutely
no,
right.
thank
We
you.
all love merch. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll try and bring you an ABS pump. Yeah. So guys, I guess that sort of segues us. Well, it doesn't. There's no segue there. But let's look at talking about what we've got coming up. What the announcement that Dom has made today. So we've been talking for some time about doing it. You may have heard us chatting about it. And so come May, although none of us are organising it, it's come along and join in, but there's no formal
Yeah, we'll
organisation.
meet you there, like bumping into someone, you know.
Yeah.
Fancy seeing you.
Yeah. So we're all going separately. We're all going to the Nurburgring on the same ferry on the same road to the same place in May. So Dom, do you want to enlighten us some of the great treats you haven't got lined up for us because you're not organising it, but some of the things we may all bump
happen
into
to have a
doing.
plan.
Yes,
These are the things we may do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, of course, doing laps, watching the laps, going to the YouTube corner, watching people on track days going into the gravel, all that good stuff. Germany's obviously well renowned for food and drink, so there'll be a couple of evenings of some nice food and drink. Of course, the weather's going to be nice because it's not England, so will be good for a bit of outdoor dining. Whilst you're there, there's go-karting, there's museums with race cars, Le Mans cars, all sorts of special stuff. There's race simulators, indoor and outdoor go-karting, there's a toboggan. There is so much to do, and especially in a short place of time. I mean, you can pop to Audi and you might see a couple of McLarens parked in a little car park or an Audi car park, or last time we were there was an Enzo and the guy came out of a shopping trolley full of beer and filled up the passenger seat. So it's all good fun. I mean, even in the viewing car park for like YouTube corner, you could pull up next to £1 million. We pulled up to what's the one with the newer one with the gold wing doors? The McLaren, the Mercedes McLaren, isn't it? With the doors.
SLR.
SLR, yeah. And the guy just jumped out and he's like, I used to have a TT like that. And you're like, cool. Yeah. Hopefully I'll have a car like that when I'm older. Yeah. Everyone's on the level. They're all there for the same reason. And it's just a nice place to be. And once you've been, obviously you know what it's like and you end up going back all the time. So it'd be nice for people that maybe didn't want to book a trip. They can use the information that we've supplied and then always have something to do and not have to worry too much about, what if I don't book this place? They can always say to me, like, where can I book? And I can go through booking.com and say 5 or 10 places where I know people have stayed that is half decent. And it's quite an easy trip, to be fair. I guess it's like the US guys just pop into another state. You know what I mean? It's a bit of a drive, but it's, you know what you're getting when you get there. It's easy enough.
Yeah. Oh, I'm getting a bit of feedback.
But yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've not done. I have no interest in taking my TT and ragging it around that track whatsoever. I'm not into the TT for taking it fast at all, even though it's a lovely car to take fast. But I am very interested in taking it around and doing a lap and just ticking it off the bucket list, and then paying someone else, a professional, to take me around that track at the crazy speeds that make you cry in the passenger
Warp
seat.
speed, yeah.
And I think that sounds like a great thing to do, to go and watch a professional do it, but sitting next to them when they do it, I think that would be great.
Oh, the ring taxi, honestly, I've done the M5 and the i30N, right? And we only did the i30N because it was cheap. Like, it was like, I think it was like 45 euros each or something. And it was like, it'd be worth a laugh. And the people got out, and you know when someone gets out of a car and they're just like, why? And I was like, this looks good. This looks good. Let's take us out. And then the guy's, he's literally, first corner, flat out into the corner. You're sort of sitting there thinking, yeah, he can drive. It's cool. And then he's going into like the third corner with one hand, leaning into the back, having a chat with you. And you know it's like a solid 90. And he's going, look, no traction. And he's just like power sliding this i30N. And you're just like just holding on for dear life, and then you get out and you're like, yeah. And people are like, go try that. Honestly, it's better than the Porsche. Like, takes the car to its absolute limit. He's going past people like two wheels on the grass, and you're just sitting there going, what am I doing?
Yeah, I think you've literally got to tell yourself that he does it for a living. He does it all day long, and more often than not,
You're
he doesn't
reaching
end
for
in the
brakes that
gravel.
aren't there. Yeah. But
Yeah.
the worst one was we said to the guy in the M5, we said, "Oh, I take you don't crash very often." He's like, "No, only like once or twice a month." And you're just like, "It's
How
fair
many
odds,
times have
I
you crashed
suppose."
this month? Have you got those 1 or 2 times out the way yet?
Yeah.
If you could select a car to do that lap yourself, which car would you go for?
If I had a choice, I mean, if out of my two, I think I would definitely take the 3. Well, I'm taking the 3.2 to the Nurburgring because I think it's the easier option getting there because of the DSG, and I haven't got to worry about gears. And my 225 off the road anyway. But I think it might be a bit wind in the hair with the roof down.
Right.
Taking that, maybe it'd be quite good. I don't know, but if you're sitting in a car and you're going fast, as we know, no matter how good that cabin is with the roof down, if you've got a passenger you're trying to film, you'll be screaming at the microphone so someone can hear you, and there'll be too much wind noise going on, I think. But what about you guys? What cars are you taking?
Dun, dun, dun,
Oh,
dun.
Well, I know what you're
I
taking.
haven't
Chris.
decided yet.
Well, Dom, you
I'll
probably
take
haven't
my one.
bought the car you're taking yet, knowing you. You've probably got about 4
No,
lined up.
I booked the Ferry with the Noggy, and then I
Oh.
moved it last night to put one of my other cars in the unit, and it's got a coolant leak. And I'm just like, what's
no.
I doing here?
Yeah, because I
It's
mean
got no MOT.
Yeah, I mean the Noggy is race prepped really near enough.
That's
isn't
your
it, with
track
its
day
page
car,
and- yeah.
Dom.
That's the problem. It is a little bit. I mean, I drove it down the road earlier just to check something, and it was just. I was like, do I want to do a 9-hour drive in bucket seats? And it was like,
yeah.
Pass.
Yeah, looking on the chat, there seems to be a few people in the chat that are saying they're coming along. So
be
Stephen
cool.
Gerald is coming. Matty here, he
and
says,
Josh.
yeah, him and Josh are coming.
Ben's going
I
to try
think
and come.
Ben's going to come with the roof down. I noticed he says he's going to come with the roof down. So yeah, I know that Ben was going to have some body work done because he'd had a bit of a misfortune, I think, on but yeah, that's a great looking car. So I hope you get that sorted out, Ben. I'm sure you've got it well underway. So yeah, so Peter Loden's raised a good question there. Do you need a helmet with a? Well, I think do you need a helmet full stop on the ring? Do you need if you're taking the car on the ring? No helmet needed.
I don't know about the convertible. That's a really good question, actually. I know you don't need a helmet in a normal car.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting because a lot of the UK track-based days, if you're going to a track, you need to have a helmet normally, don't you, to go to around the track nowadays? But I know that when I've looked at doing a few track days, it's always that's a requirement. But does that mean in the Germany the rules are a bit more slack, or is it just because anyone can turn up and do what they like?
It's a public road, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look now. I know it says all the rules apply. Like you need to have insurance, it needs to be whatever.
So that's the same in the US, Carlos. I mean, I don't know. You've been to Indianapolis, and
every single track here that you go, take your car in, they require your helmet.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So can you do? So if you went to the Indy Speedway, can you do the same thing that we're doing at the Nurburgring? You can take any car and drive it around that track for a fee. Can you do that?
Sometimes they have events like that throughout most of the tracks where they have a track day sponsored by company XYZ. You sign up for a fee, take your car in, and the typical, you have a kind of like instructor led in the morning, things to caution for the track. You've never been here before. Be aware of XYZ 1, 2, 3. And with all your gear and ready, sometimes they have someone next to you for the first half of the day so they can follow and direct you, and then the second half of the day you could do on your own based on certain times and groups.
Okay, so it's almost like a tuition-led lap of the track then. So you have someone that
at the beginning, so you can get a feel for it, which is kind of like nice that you're not on your own going out on the first time on a track you don't know.
Okay, so have you guys done that? Sorry,
no, I was gonna say I have Virginia International Raceway, like an hour and a half from here. I haven't been yet, so it's in my bucket list to go. And their track days like every other week between events. You can take your car. A funny story: one guy from this area, he wanted to track his fancy cars there, and they wouldn't give him the time because they couldn't book him. So he ended up buying the track.
Well, we won't be doing that.
But he owns Epic Games. You might have heard of Epic Games and Fortnite and all of this. He lives in this area. He bought the track. So now he has a house right there. He just drives out and goes on the track.
No one tells him no.
No one tells him no.
Yeah,
That's quality.
There you go, Dom.
Yeah.
You'll have to buy
can't
the
break the
Hemel
rules
Hempstead
if you own the
Speedway.
place, yeah.
Is
So
this-
I just went on the Rings website, and it says because it's classed as a public road, it's not a requirement that you have to wear a helmet, although it says you can if you want to.
Yeah, Jamie
And an
Court's
open
put in the
top car.
chat the same thing. He's put no helmet needed. It's a public road, different rules. Okay. Peter Loden's put you need a helmet with convertible at Crail Raceway in Scotland.
Yeah, for any track day in the UK,
yeah.
you'll need one. It's
Yeah,
just because it's classed
absolutely,
as a public road, it's like a toll road, so you don't technically have to, but you would if you're in a soft top.
Yeah, and even still, I mean, if you're going to get to the stage that your car is upside down on these days, whether you've got a roof or no roof, you're in a bad place. So it's you're either going to end up with a friar tuck on the top of your head, or you're going to be well, you're going to get it both ways, I think. So that's
let's face it, it's not a major inconvenience to have a helmet.
No, absolutely right. Yeah.
So bonus, wear it if you don't need it.
Yeah. If you're in a situation where you should be wearing a helmet, and two of the sports I tend to play, you wear a helmet and it's advisable. I would not personally want to be hurtling around the ice with a puck racing around at 80 miles an hour hitting me in the head. It's going to hurt. If I've got a helmet on, it's still going to hurt, but it's probably going to save my life.
Right.
I was say, how many times have you headbutted the floor with a helmet on and it's still hurt?
Well, and obviously, if you look at the side of that side of my face, I forget which side it is. If you look at the side of my face, if it wasn't for a helmet, I would probably have died when I had my cycling accident 3 years ago. So always wear a helmet, guys. I think is the answer to that. So bit of a public safety announcement for you. Okay, so get your questions in the chat, guys. So I guess we just go around the table and ask about what people have got going on with their cars at the moment. So Ervin and Carlos, do you want to tell us what your main car projects are right now?
Yeah, well, for me, it's fixing the TT and getting it, sorted. I think, it's working well. It had an oil leak that was like constant for the last year, and they finally found what it was. And part of the story, it's funny, but not funny. But even the oil cap, I put a fancy one so that I could open the hood at the shows, and people would look at the fancy aluminum cap. It wasn't closing well, so oil was getting out of the top. I mean, that's simple, all right. And then the brakes, right? The ABS. I thought it was as simple as cleaning the ABS sensors. I know you probably have done it, all of you, with sort of wire brush, but no, it was the actual pump. So yeah, it's always a project, like Andy we discussed the last time. It's it's a money pit.
Challenge. Yeah.
But I'm thinking that will be the last thing to get it sorted before something else happens. So I think that's my latest project, is just getting it up to speed.
Excellent. And Carlos, I know that your job is obviously automotive, but what you do in your spare time with your cars?
To be honest, I like to drive them around, go left and right. And last year, I acquired a very nice new to me car, and I drove it down to North Carolina, where Ervin lives, and back. And that was a long trip.
11 hours driving. That's insane.
11 hours driving on a AMG GTS, and it was a little bit tough on the body because the suspension is not very soft, and it's like a shaker, up and down, up and down, up and down. Even with the highways here, it's like, oh my god. Eventually made it. I say, next time I'll fly. Next time I'll fly for sure. So looking at doing some upgrades this year, maybe doing some tuning and maybe some ceramic coated downpipes on the car and little things like that. Fun stuff to do.
Excellent. That's good. So I guess we'll go. We won't come right back across the pond. We'll come across as far as Ireland and ask Stephen what your latest project is with the car. What you're doing?
Yeah. So, well, my latest videos was tracking the front of the car, just making sure, like, after a puncture and driving, and I just wasn't totally sure whether everything was in line or not. I just put the camber gauges or the tracking gauges onto the car, and they're quite cheap, and it's always handy just to know, are my wheels actually parallel or not. Then of course I did the radio So myself and Siri fell out with each other at one stage, and she wanted to call Car Chris instead of Andy. So
Yeah.
that was a bit of fun as well.
No, she didn't. She wanted to phone Andy, not Carl Chris. She sounds hot, by the way. I don't mind saying. I'm going to change my Siri to Irish Siri because she sounds good. I want to meet that girl.
But it is, it's one thing I absolutely love in the car, because I always wanted a radio that you can still put down the flaps. It still says TT, and then when you press it, it lifts back up. And a lot of the aftermarket ones, they don't fully let the flap or the TT flap fall down, but this one does, and has Bluetooth, so it's great because I use it for everything. I ask Siri, like, tell me the weather forecast, or text whoever, or read out the last text message, and it's brilliant that way, so I don't have to take my eyes off the road. And then the final thing is, I had an NCT there last week, which is like the MOT or Road Certificate Worthiness Test, and failed. So failed on one CV boot and forgot to take the covers off the wheels. So they have to know that there's actually 5 lug nuts holding on every wheel, but you haven't just been switching and you're missing lug nuts or something. So failed, unfortunately, but it's a CV boot and it's the outer one. So I was like, did I not change that CV boot? And I was like, I'm pretty sure I watched Andy's video and then I did the same. And it turned out, no, he did the inner one, not the outer one. So
yeah, my video is definitely
back off again then.
Yeah. I think the outer one, I would say, is a much simpler job because you haven't got to take half the bits off that you have to for the inner one. The inner one is a pig of a job.
Yeah, you can either take it out, take the whole drive shaft out, because there's only 6 bolts holding it on the other side, and just do it on the bench or just do it in situ. I've done them before, so it's not like the worst of a job. And then, of course, I'm working on the Mark 1 Golf, and it has decided after 38 years it wants to have a rust problem. So who knew that Volkswagen couldn't build a 40-year-old car, to survive that long?
Is that great big hole in the front?
Yeah. So underneath
I thought that was where you put in the front tow bar, wasn't it? You're putting a winch on it.
PTO shaft.
They have a little disclaimer just saying that in Ireland they're not guaranteed for more than 30 years because of the volume of rain.
But it's just a design flaw. So just underneath the front radiator, there's a little hole, like a cavity, and obviously they only paint the outside because you can't actually physically get in to paint the inside. And just over time, eventually, it all just rots away. So, people have replaced them. And it's just a generic part, that, a known problem.
I want you to take that car back to Audi and say, to Volkswagen rather, and say, right, I want to see the manager about my my warranty. I've found I've got a rust problem on this car, and the guy will probably not even have been alive when that car was manufactured. So sorry, sir. Here's a new car. That's what you want. But,
I don't know. I actually love the car so much. I don't think I'd swap it.
No, Mark 1 Golfs are lovely. I mean, it makes you realise, particularly with the cabriolets, when they switched the Mark II, they never made a Mark II cabriolet, did they? They carried on making the Mark 1 because it was such a lovely shape. First cabriolet I ever sat in was a Mark 1 Golf. It was really? Long story. Not for now though, boring story. But I'll tell you about.
Of course, our 2 friends here. So we call them Mark 1 Golf, but obviously you call them Mark 1 Rabbits.
Rabbits.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Rabbits.
But we like to call them Golf. Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Okay.
But pretty ridiculous name. Yeah. But yeah, it's that car.
Okay.
I've seen some in the shows here, like fully. They look like they came out of the factory. Like people really love those cars.
If you look underneath the radiator, they're full of rust, so don't believe my word.
Of course, they might be. It doesn't weigh. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Chris, what have you? I know you've done plenty of work on yours right now, but anything planned?
So I was at the workshop pretty much all day yesterday, just sort of putting it all back together now, really, because I've got the MOT booked for Tuesday, so then I can actually get out in it and actually use it a bit more. I don't think I've been in it since Ockham Bites, the last one. It's been off the road since then. Just done a couple of other little bits to it as well. But yeah, just getting it all put together really and checking it over to make sure I shouldn't have any problems on the MOT.
Still can't convince you to bring it to the Nurburgring.
The thing is, to take that, I think I'd have to do the coilovers, because the suspension is some cheap eBay stuff that came on the car, which I don't like. The brakes, I hate them. The clutch is starting to slip when you put it under too much power. Yeah. So it's just like...
So what's holding you back?
Yeah, exactly. It's just not it's just not ready.
Right.
I'll have to spend about 2 or 3 grand on it to get it ready.
Yeah.
And I don't need to do anything to the Mark II because it's ready. But I think if we did Nurburgring again next year, different situation, it will be ready by then.
Yeah. So it doesn't stop, it doesn't go,
Yeah,
and it doesn't ride bumps well. But apart from that, it's all right. It sounds like a standard TT.
It basically is a standard TT. It looks good, but no, it's just. I mean, with the Mark II, it's got the Bilsteins on it. The brakes on the Mark II are a lot better.
Right.
The cam belt's been done. The DSG service been done. It's all the maintenance up to scratch on it, and it's DSG, so obviously it's gonna be nicer to lap up those miles going there as well. And I wouldn't want to break down on the way there or back and ruin the journey, which the Mark I possibly could do. So it just wasn't worth the risk. But hopefully I'll get a lot of stuff done this year on it, and hopefully get it forged this year as well. And then it will hopefully be a bit of a weapon ready for next year.
Fab, excellent. What about you then, Dom? What have you got planned then? With your a coolant leak, by the sound of it, or an oil leak, was it?
Yeah, well, I need to address the leak. I think from staining and where is still moist when I climbed underneath was the bottom radiator pipe, the one that has that metal clamp that goes inside. I think the O-ring seal's worn, or where the plastic's been on and off so much that it's just worn down and it's not creating a perfect seal. I think that's what I'm going to go for. But I've got a list of stuff I need to do. Need/want. I've started fitting coilovers because I had shocks and springs on before. I want to fit water meth injection. Get it for a map tweak. I need to sort my exhaust blowout. Or I just raise the suspension like 10 mil on the other one and just bring that. I haven't decided yet.
But you've booked for the Nuggy, so we are expecting the Nuggy on the ferry.
Yeah, I'm going to aim for that. I've just lost my camera, so I may
see that. Yeah, okay.
I may come back to you in a minute.
They're all rolling projects. They're never finished.
No.
Oh, forever.
Yeah.
Never.
What about you, Andy?
Me? Well, obviously, I've had a couple of busy weeks with the oil pressure sensor. That was my big win. I've had a new windscreen fitted, actually, of all things. Just before we went to the meet at the Talk Moto, and I had a very friendly guy from Budget Windscreens come out, and I said to him, "Do you mind me filming what you're doing so I can share it on my channel?" He said, "No, feel free, film what you want to film." I thought, this is great, because normally they're really quite defensive over what they want to film. So I've got a guest appearance from the I think Matt or Dan from Budget Windscreens. He's going to be showing us about how to fit a windscreen, because I asked the main question was, if you have got is it possible to remove a secondhand windscreen and fit it? Can you do that? And he said, technically you could, but he knows from experience of removing those windscreens how tricky they are to actually get out in one piece. And we'll go all through it in the video anyway. I won't reveal too much, but it's quite interesting, and it's one of those jobs that after I saw it, I thought, yeah, you could get a secondhand windscreen and bang it in the screen and you glue it all in and be fine. Absolutely not. I don't want to try it ever. I want to pay someone the money and get them to do it, because it seems a much better way of doing it. You don't want leaks. You don't want problems with it. Pay someone. And I was quite surprised, because I thought, with it being, a car that's been out of production for many years and not really that common a car around, I thought getting hold of a second screen, a brand new screen, would be difficult. And they're not. And I think it was actually cheaper for me to buy a brand new screen on that car than it was to pay the excess of my Mondeo replacement screen. So there you go. That shows you the difference. So I've got that going on. I've also got some bits. I don't know if any of you are aware, but I have an engine management light appears on my car from time to time.
Oh, does it?
Yeah,
that same one.
Yeah, since the day I've owned it. So I am going
get a
to
sticker.
I am going to get that sorted out before we go to the Nurburgring. I'm going to go and get that Lambda done. I'm going to let someone else deal with that problem, because it does seem a problem. I also went and saw Ross Hart yesterday. So those of you that have been to a few of the local meets here, Chris, I know you've spoken to Ross. He's got a workshop literally 5 miles from my house, randomly. And I went to see him yesterday. And brilliant. It was, it's like he's got his car up on the ramp. He's doing some work on it. And I thought, oh, that's great. So if I ever, I'm hoping, Ross, if you're watching, and I hope you won't mind if I, at one Saturday morning, if maybe I'll pop down with you the same with mine. We'll have a look under mine and have a look at it and see what's going on. So I have looked underneath mine a couple of times with various friends of mine own an MOT station, but it would be nice to get another look underneath that and see how much has corroded since last time I looked under there. So, yeah, so plenty going on. I've got a couple of videos to put out as well. I've had another couple of OBD11 sensors turn up in the last week to trial. It seems to be they keep sending me them out, so I'm happy to do that. And I also want to try and do a DSG gearbox reset, because I've seen so many different videos on all you need to do is put your foot down for 10 seconds and then turn the ignition on and do this and then wait. You feel a click. I do not feel a click. I've tried so many different combinations. So I'm going to reset the DSG with an OBD11 sensor instead. I'm going to do it properly, see if that resets it. Because it is jerking. It's not learning my driving. So I think whatever driving it has learned is wrong, and it needs to learn my driving. So
Sorry,
What
Andy,
you're saying
can
is
you
when
just
you got a passenger, you don't drive how you normally would, yeah?
yeah, exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. So Steve,
sorry, could you just explain why do you need to reset like the DSG, or why?
yeah. So
what is a reset?
Yeah, so I think what it tends to do is it learns your driving style. So it learns when you lift and when you accelerate. I guess it learns how you use the gearbox when you change to suit your driving style. So I also think if you're a married couple, or if you're sharing a car, it's only going to learn one of your driving habits if one of you, or if it's going to try and, otherwise you're going to confuse it anyway, because if it's trying to learn two different driving styles, it's over a period of time it's going to not quite get it. So of course I'm going to get it to learn my driving style, even though I did buy it from my wife, but she did say to me she likes me to drive it more than she does. Pretty sure that's what she said, but no, it's her car. But I tend to bring it to meet. So as I'm doing more distance in it, I should really get it to learn my driving style. So yeah, so that's the reason to do it, because otherwise, what happens is the car can become very jerky on start up, reverse, and I think there's a standard DSG behaviour anyway. And when I first felt it do that, I thought, have I got a problem with the DSG? But no, apparently it is a Chris. You said the same thing, haven't you? That it is a
Yeah, I mean, I never have any faults come up on mine.
No.
Mine does jerk sometimes, but it's now and again. I've reset it many times, even with VCDS. You hear a big old clunk when it does the adaptation, and then it's perfect again, and it just sort of goes out of sync again. But there's never ever a code that comes up for the gearbox, and I've always had the maintenance and service done on the DSG.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got while we've been chatting away, we've had loads of things come up in the comments that I've not addressed. So guys, I apologize for not addressing that, but we should address that. With 6 of us in the chat tonight, getting round, we are. It takes a while to get around, but obviously one of the big key topics that's going around at the moment is the end of the Audi TT production after 25 years. I know that Ervin, you shared an article with me as well that you'd sent over. So guys, I guess talking point. What's your thoughts on the end of the TT?
I got two thoughts. One, I'm sad because I love the platform, and I'm not ready for electric TT. Carlos was asking me this morning, and I almost hung up the phone. And then on the other hand, I think our cars will appreciate, and that's something that with the retirement of the platform, I think our cars are going to become the go-to TT, right? The original, the more sought after. So there's a silver lining, I guess, for us there. But yeah, it's sad to see it go, and to replace that by a silent car that you don't even know is coming your way. I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, I think that was one of the questions that's been raised in the chat was by Zuby Cars. He said, "Do you think that will happen? Do you think that the price will go up now because of the discontinuation?" So I think that answers that. I mean, I think the Mark One is obviously the best car. But what about you guys? The rest of you guys in the UK, what do you think about the end of the TT run?
It's just one of those things, isn't it? Obviously, they're going to not make him anymore. So yeah, ours will go up. Obviously, the Mark Ones will go up, and they will overtake 2s and 3s because obviously they are the first gen, and they'll be more sought after because there'll be less of them as well. So it's supply and demand and all that, and people will be holding on to more, so not selling them. But at the moment, still, that you can see them going for bargains and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you see over Facebook and other places, the price you can get them for like 800 quid, £1,000 up to 20 grand for a QS or something. They do range in their prices, but if you're keen on them, keep hold of what you got.
Yeah. Dom, what's your thoughts? Oh, you're on mute, Dom.
I'm getting bad at this. It stopped me from talking over people, didn't it? I think the need or the want for them is less. So they're going out while they're still popular, because I think when they go onto electric cars are naturally going to have to be bigger to house all these batteries and all the tech, and they just can't make a TT on that kind of platform yet. It's like the Lotuses and that kind of stuff. You'll find that all of the smaller stuff will change how it is because they can't build it in the same shape and the same handling ability. And I think if you look at how many Mark 1s are on the road, I don't know how many Mark 3s there are in comparison, but I feel like the Mark 1 was a lot more popular. The Mark 2 was popular. Mark 3's popular, but you don't see as many on the road. I think. I don't know. In the UK, I feel that's how it is.
Yeah, for sure.
To some extent.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I think you personally, maybe it's because I've got my eye out for them, but I think you see more Mark 1s and even Mark 2s. I might be wrong, but I don't know. Be interesting what the production.
Do you see loads of Mark 2s?
I reckon. I don't know. I probably see more. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really see many Mark 1s. Well, I do when I go to meets.
You saw them at Ockham.
Yeah, exactly. Probably just out and about. I probably see more Mark 3s than anything, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But then probably then Mark 2s and then 1s. But yeah.
What about Ireland, Steve? What is the ratio of like 1s, 2s, and 3s in Ireland? Do you see many of these? Any of those?
I was actually only talking about this today, like at the dinner table. And we were trying to work out, am I the only one with a Mark 1 TT in Kilkenny? But obviously the red one, which is currently off the road, that was driving around. There's Mark 2s and Mark 3s, and maybe slightly controversial, which probably what people say in the comments down below, but do Mark 2s and Mark 3s not look very, very similar? Where the Mark 1 is kind of a very defined shape. So like, for me, both cars are probably quite rare. All three of them are quite rare to see going around. But what I do think is, so I have a TT, and the first generation, you're 20 years of age, the car, and it's appreciating in value. But if they brought out, say, like the EV version of the new TT, how long will it be on the road for? Will it be 7 years, 8 years, 10 years?
Good point.
Like, you're not going to see like these battery packs when they start to die. No. Are you going to, like, what I always said is, are you going to go out and buy a second-hand or third-hand iPhone, or at that stage is the battery completely kaput in it, like, and you have range anxiety and everything? And I don't know, like, I think a lot of the time these people are like promoting electric cars, but I think these electric cars are maybe like aimed directly, obviously, at people to buy a brand new car, and after that, Audi and Volkswagen and everyone else, they don't care if you buy a second-hand car or not. They're only looking at buy it from us because that's where we make the money. And if they make the cars that they only last 8 years or 7 years, whatever it is, they don't care.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you think with like the Mark 3s, you could go into an Audi showroom, buy one of those, get it on finance, all that stuff. You try to get a Mark 1 on finance, it's cash up, isn't it? You know what I mean? Yeah. So you don't get these people that, can just get one because you can get one. If you know what I mean. It's like Mark 2s, you may be able to still get one of those and finance a late one of them or something like that. But that's why I reckon you see more Mark 3s now, because you can just get it on finance.
Yeah. What about the US? What's the sort of ratio of? I know that the TTs are quite rare in the States, whatever. But what do you see the most of driving around?
I don't see Mark 1s. Actually, it's good. And I see a few Mark 2s here and there. I see a lot more Mark 3s.
Okay.
And but in the US, I mean, people buy cars all the time, and they change cars every 2-3 years. So I'm not surprised. Yeah. I'm just envy of you guys that you can do meets and get 100 Mark 1s in one place. It's amazing.
Yeah.
A blessing and a curse.
I think that when you sunset an icon like the TT, the vehicle in itself will, over a certain period of time, regain value and become more and more treasure, if you want to call it. over time, and that's going to be expected. And quite frankly, a lot of the owners of those units, they're not necessarily looking forward to see an EV version of this. So my view on that is the EV version of what may come for a car like this may want to appeal to the similar type customer, but it may not be end up being one. And who knows, maybe we not see one like this for a while either. We might see other more popular shapes come in first. And think about the companies investing so much money, they're going to want to put money on models that are going to be selling more than niche units. So it may be a while before we see a electric version of a TT.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to do one of two things to make it feasible as a platform. I think either one, they're going to have to make engines more, let's say, power friendly. They're going to have to be not so hungry on power, so they become more efficient, or they're going to have to make storage of that power smaller. They're going to have to shrink that power down somehow. I mean, we know that the batteries are huge, they're heavy, so there needs to be a more efficient way of storing that power. So either they need to make the engines more efficient, or they need to make the storage smaller. And I think until they do that, our class is not the hot hatch, because it's not a hot hatch. That's a bit of a 90s term, but the sort of the small sports coupes that we have, they're not really going to be feasible for an EV platform until they can make it lighter and more efficient.
Maybe I'm in denial, but I heard the chief of engineering at Porsche, and when he was asked about the replacement to the 911, he said, "Not so fast. We're working on some ideas, alternate fuels, other things, and Audi might be, in line with Porsche when it comes to that." So, some part of me thinks that they will probably try to, squeeze a bit more out of the combustion engine for a few more years. Not until we have chargers every other mile. And this is something, a better proposition. I don't think that's.
Yeah,
I don't see it. Maybe it's me, wishful thinking. Maybe. Yeah.
You don't want more chargers. There's only one charger you need, and that's Andycharger. I'm not.
I still think you should change your name.
Yeah. No, I don't think work would be too happy. So I think that's all good. I think there seems to be big plans. I think with I'd hope there'd be big plans for their replacement. I think Audi have always delivered some great cars over time, so I'd hope they've got something in their back pocket. I see there that Peter Loden had put there about he can't wait for the barn find Mark ones that are hidden away, belonging to old people. I don't know if that might be me now. I might be classed as the old people, but they're not hidden away though. But yeah, I say always that one car that came up that I didn't buy that was offered to me at dirt cheap price, which had about 28,000 on the clock, which is one I always regret not getting. But hey ho, the one that got away. Steve Morgan's there put loads of Mark 1s around Wiltshire and Somerset. I bought my car from my blue car. I bought it from Dorset, and there seem to be all the cars that come up for sale overseas seem to be in Dorset. It seems to be a popular county for cars. So obviously Wiltshire and Somerset have got a lot of Mark 1s as well. And I will, Steve and I will be actually in Swindon on Friday with the Mark 1. So if you guys are around Swindon and fancy a little TT meetup, then come say hello, drop me a message.
And are you dropping cards out?
Yeah, out the window. I'll be telling the wife's will come with me, so I'm going to get her to pull up alongside people slow, and I'll be hanging out the passenger window and say, "Take my card." So I am, yeah. Zuby's off. Okay, nice to see you, Zuby Cars. You're off. So thanks for dropping in tonight. What other questions have we got in the chat, guys? There's lots of things that have come in, and I've just completely taken my eye off the ball tonight. So massive apologies. I did notice earlier on, Dom, that Ben had mentioned for the helmet situation at Nurburgring.
Yeah.
I think he said that you only need it for children in the taxis, and you also need it if you've got a cage. So obviously with your nugget,
you'll have... that's an interesting one.
Yeah, so check that one out, because we don't want to get there and be going off to Decathlon to find you a cheap helmet.
Decathlon, yeah. Imagine coming with a BMX helmet.
Yeah.
It's okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, if you've those of you that are watching, if you've got any questions regarding problems you got with your cars, well, stick those in the chat as well, because it will always be it'll be interesting to see what your thoughts are, and also maybe pose a question to see if our friends in the US have the same problem with their cars. I'm sure they do, because we all have the same problems. So
Stephen, are you coming to Nurburgring?
I think I'm going to have to give it a miss, to be honest.
Well, I think you should come.
I offered him a seat in my car and he turned it down.
Did he?
Yeah.
He can jump in mine if he wants.
Oh,
into a Mark II.
Oh.
Yeah.
You won't do that. So.
Yeah, enough in the world, mate.
Oh.
It's no fun if you know you're going to get there.
Oh, do you know what I've got? Hang on, I've got.
I'm bringing it so I can bring you lot back.
I took my nice one and it still broke on me when we were there. Twice.
Did it? You took your free seat?
And the fan stopped working. Yeah.
There you go. There's my Nurburgring hat.
Oh, there you go.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Tourist.
So, yeah, well, no.
Love the merch.
That was, I've got an Andycharger card on the back of it. No, it was given to me by a friend of mine the friend that from the US, actually, from New York. He actually took the one that took the hire car around the Nurburgring, the hire Mini, with a blown out tyre. But it wasn't actually meant to leave the UK in that car, and he took it to France, and then he took it to the Nurburgring, and he raced it around the Nurburgring, and then came back. And he said the brakes were shot when he got it back, so he was obviously going into corners quite hard.
Wow.
So I wouldn't want to be driving that. So Wayne, if you're watching as well done for leaving. I think you left the gearbox in Rouen as well when you went over a speed bump, from what I remember. So yeah, all good.
Is he driving yours this time round?
Absolutely not. I did mention. I said, "Are you coming to the UK? Maybe come to the Nurburgring, because you keep saying to me, you've got to take the Audi to the Nurburgring. You've got to take the Audi to the Nurburgring." And I was thinking, yeah, but not when you're going, because I know you'll want to be racing that round. Right. What other questions we got in the chat then? Oh, okay. No problem, Stephen. Yeah, I hope you feel better soon. That doesn't sound so great, but I hope you hope you get back. All right. Peter's off as well, needs to go. Good night, all. Good night, Peter, and your classic or your great Scottish Roadster. Done some great work on that. And there's to be some great cars in Scotland, isn't there? With Jim's got that great 3.2 Roadster. Peter's got a great Roadster. Obviously, Gordon's got the 514 brake horsepower monster. So they're about strokering. Is that something, strokering the engine? Being the novice that I am, do you know of other? I know that Jermaine has stroked his, from what Gordon was saying. Are there any other people in the UK that have stroked their engine? I guess it's shortening the like the piston head, isn't it, and lengthening the sort of the throw of the rod. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I do know a little bit.
So there's more capacity in the cylinder.
Yeah. So is that a thing in the UK that is quite common in the TT?
Yeah,
people do.
Yeah, there's a few people that have done it. Normally, they make them 1.9s or 2 liters.
Right.
So obviously, when they put a turbo on, they can do more. You get more from the engine before you use the turbo. As such.
Right. And what about the US? Is that stroking an engine? Is that something else? I see Carlos was nodding when I said it. So obviously,
as the engineer, I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
That's common when people want to take it further on engines. They stroke them, and then they can play with the fuel to get more fuel and air inside. So it's all increasing capacity of the chamber. Okay. All kinds of things. They prefer going larger bore, and they bore out the engine. But sometimes the block allows only certain size to grow the bore. So you either play with a stroke, play with the bore, and get more capacity if you want. And there's limits always, depending on which block you're talking about and what pistons you want.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that Jamie Court's put there the stroker is a crank with a longer throw. So, Chris, I know you've talked about getting more bang for your buck out of yours, haven't you? So, and you talk about forging the rods and stuff.
Yeah. The Mark 1 needs some forged rods, and then obviously go for a better turbo and stuff. It's one of those cars I'm going to keep it, so it's worth spending on it. So I'll probably get all the clutch and everything done at the same time. Just do it all in one hit, basically.
Yeah, I see Ben's mentioned about the 3.2 to 3.5, because that engine, the evolution of that engine for the Porsches is a 3.5, isn't it? So it's Yeah, I mean, an extra 300cc, is that going to, what sort of impact's that going to have on the TT? I mean, I guess block size, it's not going to be any different block size. Would I be right? So if you shoehorn the 3.2 in there, you get the 3.5 in there, it's going to be more increase in the bore.
Yeah,
Don't know.
more space in the ball, more
They just
capacity.
need
in
a
the ball.
turbo. That's what they are.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's £10,000 though.
Yeah, but it's
Charger,
like
you should
straight
do
from
it.
what 245 to 420 without any pushing.
Yeah. Did you just tell me I should do that, Chris?
Yeah, do it.
Mate, I don't even
Preaching
like
to the wrong person.
put the yeah. I don't even put the wrong air fresheners in my car. It's that it's that standard. You can't be telling me to do that. I'm taking this hat off. It's not for me. I'll get my own hat.
That's like when we go to Nurburgring, I go, yeah, we've got to put a foot down, Andy. It's the only way, mate. You've got to have the real experience.
Do you know what? So last weekend we saw a car last weekend that's had a lot of modifications done to it, and that was Bogdan's Papaya car. And I was interested to see, because obviously he's changed the colour of it. And I said, "Oh, what colour was it beforehand?" And the bonnet was open, and he just pointed to the top mounts. Where the top mounts, he goes, "Well, there you go. It's Morrow blue." And it's a really nice colour combination, that papaya and the Morrow blue. And I thought, you know, if ever I got to the stage where I need to completely repaint my car, not that I'm going to do it, I think I would change the colour, and I think I would put it into yellow. Now, whether it would be Imola yellow or it would be papaya, I think I'd probably go Imola if I was going to do it. But are there many people out there that you've come across in the UK that have completely changed the colour of their paint or their car?
Not really. It's the cost, isn't it? For us, it'd be cheaper to buy another TT than it would to be.
Yeah.
Say, if you're going to do a proper
Paint
job
it.
like shuts, engine bay, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Wraps
yeah.
10 a dozen now.
Same thing here with the wraps, and most of the color changes I've seen is to Nardo gray. That seems to be the most desired color now.
Oh, okay. Nardo grey, yeah. But what colours is Ben's car? Is that Nardo? Is Ben's Nardo?
Dolomite.
That's it. Dolomite, yeah. Yeah,
If you do wrap, Andy, if you do wrap the car, how long does the wrap last? Is it like a 3-year wrap before you have to re-wrap it again, or it's not for life, is it?
Well, my vast
It depends
experience
on
of
the-
wrapping. No, ask Dom.
It depends on the quality of the wrap and the quality of the wrap and the aftercare. Because I've seen some people have had wraps for 5-10 years, and obviously the vinyl's only getting better. It just depends on what chemicals you use, where it's stored, if it does a lot of sunlight, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, you get 3 to 5 years out of one, especially if it's garage stored most of the time.
Well, I assume maybe
There's quite a few TTs with flip paint. Have you seen them? Flip wraps.
Well, it changed colour.
Yeah, there was one at the Motorist last year. Do you remember that one? Had that like Parma violet-y colour.
Oh yeah. So yeah. There's a guy that I saw at a Southend meet actually, and he's done his car. He'd wrapped his car, and I looked at it and I thought, I'm sure that is done in. I thought it was a Mauritius blue colour. It looked like, but it was just slightly more flecky, and it did change colour. And I thought that's unusual. And he said, no, it's wrapped. And but I think he said, I think he probably paid about £1,500 for it. But everything was done on it. Now I don't know what that's like in comparison to having your car wrapped elsewhere. And I've seen other people that have wrapped them themselves with mixed results, I have to say. So I think there's obviously companies you can take it to and will do it. That's my polite way of saying mixed results. Is my polite way of saying it looks crap at times, but some cars look great doing it, I think. And although I think my favourite paint scheme out there, alternative paint scheme, has got to be Steve Bridgeland's P51 Mustang car, because that is just in the flesh. It's always got something new on it as well. It's always got. I say to him, "What have you changed since last time I saw you?" He goes, "Oh well," and then he'll list a whole list of things he's done. So he's always fiddling.
He must
with
get
it.
a couple of hours free and then be like, "Oh, should I put a bullet hole here or a rivet here?"
Or as he did last week, he was messaging me saying, "I'm not sure if I'm going to make it because I've taken the bottom end off it." And okay, but he did some serious maintenance on it. So he's always fiddling with it, but it's always going, always works well. So he's got an interesting color scheme on his suspension. Well, he's got a bright green subframes, like lime green subframes, yellow springs, and so it's an interesting car. I don't know if you guys in the US, if you've seen that car on the channels or around the P51 Mustang.
No,
I'll send you some pictures of that. It's pretty amazing to look at. And it looks like a wrap, but it's hand painted. So all these rivets are hand painted, and they even have the oil streaking coming off the rivets as if the plane's been flying through the air. It's amazing. And you want to go up to it and touch the rivets and see if they're real, because they're so realistic.
Some people have a lot of time in their hands.
Yeah. That's not for me. I can put fuel in, and that's about it. But,
I don't do paint.
Yeah, I do paint badly.
Yeah, I try not to do it.
Yeah.
You've had the best results out of all three of us, I think.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've been quite lucky with that, but I'm not that good at it.
Have you painted the interior trim of the car? I use chalkboard paint, like black chalkboard, and it matches the finish of the interior plastic panels.
Okay.
I've done some of that. Yeah, and recently I did some plastic welding. I had some parts in the back of my Roadster that were cracked, and you could hear them. So I did plastic welding, sanded, and used that paint, and it looks like it never happened. Just so you know.
Yeah, it's the rap in the chat seems to be quite a polarizing topic. There's a lot of people talking about it. So I think
Ben talking about his scratch.
I did see that. Yeah. So
there's a company near me that does liquid wraps where they literally just spray on some peelables.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite cheap.
Is it like latex or something? Is it? How's that work?
I don't know, but it's like 600 quid for a whole car.
Yeah, looks good too. It looks like paint.
It does.
Can you describe it a bit more or explain it a bit more?
Search plastic dip.
Plastic tape. Okay.
Well,
you can have that sort of thing
on Instagram. I think they're just called Liquid Wrap something or other. They're in Croydon, and it's a company that's always advertised on Instagram. And it's like 600 quid. It's like, it's not bad, but how long does that last? As Dom says, it probably is just like a plastic dip sort of thing.
Yeah. Isn't plastic dip what they do? A lot of people do to their engine bay components. They plastic dip those.
I've done that.
Yeah.
That's hydro.
And they do it to wheels as well.
Wheels.
Yeah. Plastic dip, hydro dip.
It's the peelable paint. I mean, to be fair, I plastic dipped my my splitter on the V6 bumper because it needed painting, and I wasn't saying it was going to dry really quickly. I wasn't too worried about the finish because it's going to get scraped and scratched on the floor and speed bumps anyway. Yeah. So I thought I'd have a go at that, and it does go on okay, and it does feel quite a lot of imperfections as well.
Yeah, it lasts.
Yeah. And there's actually a remover another spray to remove it, to take it off.
Okay.
Yeah. I have my center caps of my rims. They were like chrome, and I wanted them red, so I used red plastic dip and then clear plastic dip over the red.
Right.
And it's been there for almost 3 years and not even a scratch. It looks great.
Wow.
I mean, I think it's like anything. I think the technology and the materials are getting better and better and better. So I think when plastic first came out, it was a little bit, don't know, but obviously you've had yours on for a few years now, and it's doing well. So it's obviously at that point now, it is quite a good sort of thing to use now.
Could you use it in another way to protect paint as well? So if you've had your car, let's say you've got your paint's in good condition, and you want to, I don't know, change the paint or protect it, or like undercoating a car. So if you want to protect it from the elements, so like if you lived in Ireland with Stephen, you want to protect it from the rain. Could you?
There's no rain here.
Is there no rain? Oh no.
There is.
Could
you paint it in that stuff, and then would it protect the paint, or would it trap?
You want to check out this YouTube channel, Dip Your Car. That's the guy in the US, and he sells the whole kit, and you can fully plastic dip the full car in any color combination. It's very entertaining.
They do a liquid PPF as well.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
They do a clear one, Andy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that'd be interesting to see. Like you say, you've got like almost like a layer of like cellophane over the car. Then that'd be quite well. I suppose that's what it is. So you don't see so many cars nowadays. You're driving around with those hoods over the front of the bonnet, which I never understood about
bonnet bras.
Bonnet bras.
Yeah. Why would you wear a bonnet bra?
It's for when you're when you're tailgating a truck and you don't want the stones to come up and hit your bonnet.
Yeah, I thought it was for so you can make more resale when you sell it and the paintwork's in good condition, which is just ridiculous.
This much at the front of the bonnet, like
so you're protecting the car from all of that when that's going on, and then you don't get the benefit from it. But
that was a thing in the 80s. Remember, Carlos? All cars had those brass, and they looked.
It was a thing to have in the past.
Yeah, that was an 80s thing. And,
I can remember those.
Yeah.
Now they do the PPF bra just in the front nose of the car.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I have it on the Mark I Golf, and I went on a long road trip, but it has the 2 little V's that stick up. And I did notice that all the flies, when you're driving, they do hit these little V's at the front, and they do go up over the windscreen. But apart from that, they do look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I know, like in Canada, I think the snow bra, which goes over like the front of the bonnet, but all the way down to the front lights, and everything nearly get covered.
Mm.
Yeah, there's some devices they call bug screen or bug shield, literally, that you glue to the underside of the hood, and it's held right there, and it just flicks that up, and literally it's covered in bugs all the time. But rather that than your paint.
Kill me now, please. I mean,
yeah,
I can't be seen with one of those.
Yeah,
I know.
No.
I've noticed that the ownership of my car, my blue car, I think I've done 5,000 miles in it since I've owned it, maybe 6. So it's on 113,000 miles now, and I think the paint has deteriorated it in my ownership at the front, like chips and marks in a year of ownership compared to the previous, almost 20 years of its life. So interesting to see that. I don't know why that would be. Is it where I'm driving it or the road conditions nowadays? But yeah, it does make me a little bit sad.
You're driving it too hard, Andy.
Is that what it is?
Up people's bumper, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, well, the windscreen found that out, didn't it? So, although I wasn't driving that when that happened, that came back with that feature after it was being used by another driver in the house.
Chris Johnson, he was at the meet with us at the weekend.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he messaged me. I think it was the day before yesterday, and he just sent me a picture of his. After he was chatting about your windscreen, he'd smashed his windscreen. He was changing his wipers, and the arm dropped.
Oh
no!
Smashed it. It's just like I opened it, and I was just like, I can't look.
Yeah,
it can happen so easily.
Yeah, Chris came to my house and we met here before we drove to the meet last week. And for those of you, and I think Chris is in the chat, he was in the chat earlier, that if you've seen his car, it always looks spot on. His wheels look amazing. It's in really, really good condition. And when he got here, it was all like dirty up the side. And I said, that's the first time I've ever seen your car with a scrap of dirt on it. Yeah, I think it only goes out in the summertime, that car normally. So, yeah, it was pretty rough days really last week for keeping your car clean. I got mine back and I looked at it and I thought, did I miss that bit when I cleaned it, or has it got dirty since I've? I think it just got dirty again. So
I don't know how you guys in the UK. Every time I go there, I'm always thinking about I'll be washing my car like every day.
Yeah,
because it's raining all the time, and
yeah,
I see cars. I'm thinking this is a good business to have here.
Yeah, if we leave the cars dirty enough at the back, then the speed cameras can't get us. That's the way I look at it.
Okay.
Not I'm condoning speeding. I'd like to add, not condoning speeding.
When you wash the car, you just forget to do the rear number plate and just don't worry about that bit.
Yeah, exactly. No one knows. I like the matte finish of the dirt. That's what it is.
Have you done ceramic coating on your cars? I did it now 2 years ago myself. And to this day, the dirt just falls off. It's amazing.
Okay, that's that hydro dipping, was it?
My brand actually it's from the UK. Seaquartz.
That's right, yeah.
Seaquartz. I bought it on Amazon. Seaquartz, and I can send it to you. It's on Amazon and it's from the UK. And it took me 2 days to do the whole process, but to this day, and even I did the wheels too, and the dirt just falls off. It's very, very impressive.
Okay.
Well, and what's your opinion of Armor Shine? They do ceramic coating. They're the only people I know of. Like that's what.
I mean, I haven't used it. I tried a different brand. Nothing like Seaquartz. I think it's made in the UK. It's like the letter C.
Seaquartz is Carbra, I think.
Quartz.
Yeah,
It comes
Seaports, I
in a
think
little
it's
tiny
Carpro,
bottle,
isn't
isn't
it?
it?
It's a very little bottle here, and
Yeah.
it lasts you like 2 applications probably, but
It's
it's
Carpro. It's good stuff. I use it on my S4.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a. I'm hoping to do a collab with a local detailer actually based in Kent that's going to come and teach me what I need to do to keep my paintwork and then do a video of it and we could share it on the channel. Because I also think about doing ceramic coating and the results that you're talking about there. But for me, I wouldn't know where to start. Do I need to obviously you need to have a clean car, but do you need to you get the clay bar out and completely take it right back, and so it's immaculate before you start? Because otherwise you're going to be trapping dirt and foreign material underneath the treatment. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm not expecting him to do my car for me, but I wanted to show me the techniques. I wanted to show me how to use a DA polisher as well, so I don't burn my paintwork. Because my only experience of doing that back in the 90s was burning some of my sunburnt red paintwork off my Mark III Escort after I'd freshly painted it. But yeah,
speaking of ceramic, just to the two lads there. Speaking of ceramic coating, you said you got the exhaust pipes ceramic coated. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, and it helps too.
And that just keeps the heat out of the engine bay. And it's basically like instead of wrapping the outside of it, you're wrapping the inside technically. Is that right?
I think for Carlos is looking for they ceramic coated downpipes, right? So it's substitute a heat shield, right?
Yes. In lieu of having a heat shield wrap, it does ceramic coating completely. So it's a lot more durable than heat shield wraps, and functionally speaking, it helps retain the heat better inside the pipe, which is what you want to increase airflow and all the good stuff that goes with the downpipes.
And how is that better than wrapping it on the outside?
Well, wrapping
you wrap it around
your
your exposed elements, and once you get, you can get the wrapping itself could degrade over time. The material, and with water moisture, it starts loosening it up, and you may have to rewrap it afterwards again.
Yeah.
With ceramic coating, you don't do that anymore.
So there isn't like a set amount of every 10,000 or 100,000.
No.
It's starting to break down.
This is literally a hard coating that goes over the materials.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, there's been suggestions there about Mad Cow's products as well, and also Modesta Bodywork. So are they sort of
thousands and thousands in the UK? I guess America's probably the same, but we have probably 1,000 different manufacturers of a similar product.
Yeah,
across the board.
This for ceramic coating, is it? Yeah.
And they all claim to be the best. Don't forget that.
They all claim to be the best.
That's the problem. How do you know the good brand from the bad brand?
Yeah, right.
What I work out is I work on the basis of two things: how easy it is to use and cost. Because at the end of the day, you want it to cost not too much, and you want it to be easy to work with. Because if you remember back in the days of Auto Glim Super Resin Polish, you put it on and then it would dry harder than burning a pan, and you're trying to you're almost putting scratches in the paint trying to wipe it off.
Right.
So you want products that the ceramic coating that Ervin was saying about, you literally just put a few pipettes on a pad with a microfiber sort of suede towel on. You do lines, and then literally you wait a few minutes for it to flash, and you just wipe it off, and that is it. There's no two-handed forcing or anything like that.
It's all the prep that comes before that.
The prep.
100%.
Getting the paint ready to accept that is the key.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a few suggestions coming. Craig Ball said look up white details on YouTube, amazing channel. So yeah, we're always up for a bit of market research and what's going on, keeping our cars in tip top.
Or if you want to come to Wax Stock, there's a car show specifically for detailing in the UK this year.
Is there? Oh, okay.
At the Ryco Arena. I go every year. I'll see when it is quickly. Wax Stock. But that's good because you can talk to people. A lot of them have bonnets. They show machine polishing. They show the difference between coating and not coating, and all that, like ceramic coating your windows and stuff.
Yeah.
22nd to the 23rd of July.
Before you do that clay bar section, like I did in my car last year, I ended up using a product. I think it was from Sonax. That is for industrial fallout. So literally spray this thing, and all the iron embedded already on the paint on the surface. he starts eating it away, dissolving it, and literally I ended up using 4 bottles all over the car. Apparently, whoever was the previous owner had it nearby some industrial area and had plenty of these. And after all that used and cleaned up, then apply the clay bar afterwards, and it was like pristine. So make sure
Wow.
you do the prep work before you do all the good stuff with the
Maybe,
ceramic coating.
maybe we should
Yeah.
do a video on that.
Yeah.
I might do an instructional video on one of my other cars that I'm about to do the process.
Yeah. There you go.
And
That's
like
what
the
this
other,
is all about.
yeah. Because the other thing that'd be nice to see is, rather than just like dripping a few bits of water onto it, like actually pressure washing it, a few
Yeah.
times, let it dry, pressure wash a few, even put a bit of polish or something, and then pressure wash it again to show that the ceramic coating isn't just like a one-off time, it's actually like embedded into the bodywork that's not just going to break down. And because I remember watching a few guys doing it, and like he had like different I think he had windows or glass or metal or something, and you could see that certain products that could break down over time, and and he wasn't holding back. He was full on pressure washing it to show like this is what this brand is versus the other brand. And then you go to
Well,
find the brand, and
yeah.
they're
Yeah.
discontinued. They're going, I just want to find the damn one now.
It's supposed to be a chemical bond to the
Right.
clear coat of the car.
And that's why you need to get the paint naked, as they say. So after you do the buffing and you need to remove the oils with a mixture of alcohol and water, so that you get it like literally naked. And then
Clear
that's
coat
when
is
you
super
do,
clean, and then
Yeah.
you get a good bonding of the product. The
Yeah.
ceramic coating reacts to the bond surface of it's a chemical reaction. So depending on the product, how well it reacts and attaches to it, then how much protection you're gonna get long term. If you get good grip, good attachment, good prep,
Then
it's gonna last you a long time.
some people do the whole process and then they use detailer chemicals, and that removes the ceramic coating. So for the last 2
Yeah.
years, I only wash my car with light soap and
Yeah,
water.
that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, continue there. Yeah. So you use just a soap, is it? No.
Soap, like I use like dish soap, just to break down, oil and grease and with water. I don't do anything else, because then I'm protecting the ceramic coating that is still there.
Okay. So if you were going to ceramic coat your entire car, ceramic coat your entire car, as Ben's just asked, what sort of cost are you looking at to give it a good one coat? So if you're going to apply it yourself at home, what's the cost you're looking at for a bottle of ceramic coat?
I paid for 6 quarts. I remember paying $65. I don't know what that is, and
It's less than £100.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty much that, and it's enough for 2 applications. You can do it for 2
Okay.
cars. Yeah.
Yeah. Craig's also put in the chat.
But when
it's
you
£70.
think that professionally they charge $1,500 or more
Yeah.
to do this to your car, it's worth, you get a 6-pack of good beer, and in a couple of days you got it sorted.
But it's all
Well,
in
like
the
you say, there's the prep,
work.
isn't it? The prep and the accommodation, yeah.
That's where the money is.
Yeah.
So we're saying 65 quid, and then the rest is just spent on beer.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Good beer. I said good beer, so the price might go up. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a detailer I've watched online, and he's essentially taken a Concours Standard RS Turbo, Escort RS Turbo, and he details it, and he spends about 2 or 3 days doing it, and he's got a really smart workshop. I'll have to try and find his link. And I've never seen anything like it. How that car comes out, it looks like it's literally rolled out of the factory. It's amazing to see that quality of restoration, and the products he uses as well. It's things I've not even thought about to do on an Audi TT, but it makes you realise. And I think giving it a good hoover and a polish, it's good enough. But looking at the level of restoration, I think Jeff Bedford had his Imola yellow one recently detailed, didn't he? I don't know if you've seen that. We put some pics up, and that looks amazing now. Well, it always looks amazing anyway, but it's
Yeah, it was a nice one, that one.
Yeah, totally right. Yeah, it's I'd always be concerned about applying the wrong thing to the paintwork and damaging the paint. That'd be my concern, making the rust eat through. Not there's any rust, well, there's a bit of rust. Yeah.
I was listening to a Reload podcast. They're based in Northern Ireland, but they're a big Volkswagen group, and one of the guys is a detailer. And they just asked him, obviously, he's not going to give away all his trade secrets, but what information should you give to people, that go to car shows and want to clean their car? And one thing he said was, when you go to clean the windows, inside the car, always go up and down, and when you're outside, go left and right. So when you see the streaks, you can see the streaks going left or right or up and down, and then you'll know, is it clean on or dirty on the inside or dirty on the outside. But I'm sure there's loads of like techniques like that for doing the rest of the car, though.
Yeah, from my experience, doing the inside, then do the outside, and then you look, and then you go and do the inside again, and then you do the outside, and you still can't get it right. And you think, well, it can't be. It's one or the other. It's got to be one or the other, and you still can never get it right. So that's a good tip. That's a good tip, though.
Yeah. And the newspaper was the best. And now you can't get a newspaper because it's all digital. It's very hard to get newspaper paper, right? But it was it was the best thing to clean, with some Windex here in the US. Yeah.
Oh, so you use a newspaper and Windex and just use that?
Yeah.
Never thought of that.
Yeah.
So for windows, the best thing you can use is a harder cloth. I think in England they probably sell in America as well. It's called a fish scale cloth, which is quite a compact and hard cloth. Yeah. But the best thing I find is yellow microfiber. One side's slightly harder than the other, and clean your window, and then flip it to a new, untouched part, and then just one spray onto the cloth, not the window, and then you can work it round, so you won't leave any product. And a good window cleaner will have like a solvent which will flash and evaporate off the window anyway.
Exactly.
That usually gives you a really nice result.
That's the same one we got, Irving, the other day. You recommend it.
I have zero capability when it comes to cleaning glass. It's my unicorn. I've never mastered the technique. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's lots of food for thought there, and I'm keeping the outside looking good. Guys, do you remember that last year I might have had to replace 4 wheel nuts on my Roadster because I may have.
What happened to that, Andy?
I lost the lock-in wheel nut key, didn't I? And then
did you actually lose it though?
Did you lose it?
A few months later, it did turn up in the garden on the lawn. So after Springfest, it obviously fallen out of the wheel, and I did find it after I'd removed the wheels. Well, a funny thing might have happened to the blue car.
No.
So
have you tried the lawn?
No, I think it might be located somewhere between here and Talk Moto Cafe. So I've narrowed it down because I've put all the tools away after finishing it. So when I did put the wheels back on, put the car down after putting the engine tray back on, I've obviously in a bit of a rush taken it out for a test drive, put the tools down, and then come back, put them away. And I suddenly thought, did I put the wheel nut key back in the car where I normally keep it? And no. And then I've gone through my tools and I can't find it. So I think it was always quite stiff on the wheel. So I think I might be back on the wheel nuts with the hammer this week. But,
you could do a video on it now.
You'd think I would learn after one car, wouldn't you? But I've So if anyone's got some great ideas on removing the TT wheel nuts without brute force at last,
are they genuine ones?
I'm not sure.
Are they the multi-spline, I don't know, probably 100 sides on the inside?
No, that was on the Roadster. That had that. These ones are like it looks like it's got an actual nut when you look inside it, but it just spins and spins and spins. So
they're so difficult to get.
You'll have fun with them. Yeah, you need a big nut and a welder for those.
Oh no,
Andy. So that happened to my brother, and he went to a tire shop, and they have these little rivets that are made of copper, and they're able to hammer them in to. They have like a little pattern, isn't that right? It looks like like a shamrock or something, is it? On the inside,
no, you can't see anything because they've got like a cap over there. I'm gonna have to go look for my tools. I just don't like the idea of this. This sounds dangerous. I mean,
if they spin on the outside, they're not fun.
Yeah, thanks for that. Okay, just thought I'd ask the team while you're all together what your thoughts were. And by the way that you're all grinning with glee, it's going to be a life of... Yeah. Okay. So, I just hope I don't ever have to change the tyres on that car or do any work on it ever again.
I'm surprised you don't buy a car and just take the wheel nuts off and replace them with bolts.
Yeah. It might be the safest option.
That's what I did with the Roadster. The Roadster hasn't got locking nuts on it because that's exactly what I did. But obviously, what I should have done was before I had the lock. Because I think, well, who's gonna steal my wheels off my? Well, I shouldn't tempt fate, should I really? If I come back to the Well, no one's going to steal the wheels off the car now, because I can't even get them off, and I haven't even got a key for them.
Or you just catch them just as they get the last one off and go, stop.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, can I just stop you there?
So Andy, when you do that repair, please make sure it's unfilter that recording. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think I might have the previous car did it. I think I've got the 15 hours of unedited highlights of swearing from it. So, yeah. I think I brought that with Dom and Chris asking for best ways of getting the locking nuts off. And I think it brought lots of hilarity last time.
Locking nuts and oil pressure sensors.
Yeah, the oil. Well, yeah, I did watch when I was making the oil pressure video. I could make a montage of swear words that most people have never heard of, I think, from that. But yeah. Ben's just thanks, Ben. Yeah, it's going to be a bigger job than the sort of oil sensor. I think you're right there. Yeah, absolutely. So, guys in the chat, have you got any sort of jobs that big jobs you've got coming up? So obviously we're getting near to show season, and obviously with show season coming up, we've got some events coming up next weekend. Next Saturday, the 25th, we've got Caffeine in the Machine in the UK. So that's been, I think Jamie's in the chat. Jamie Courts arranged that one. And I think they sold all of the tickets out for it. So there was all the TT tickets. The 12 till 3 slot was gone. So I'm not sure how that works if you want to go to that now. Maybe drop Jamie a message. And then I think on the 23rd, Chris, of March, or 22nd of March, when is the motorist one?
What's that, mate?
The motorist, mate.
Hey?
Oh, you got there. I think there's a meet at the motorist.
Was there?
Well, I think, to be fair, I think it's Bangers and Mash. Oh no,
Yeah.
Bangers and Cash. Sorry, Bangers and Cash. Bangers and Cash, which is I think they're like a restoration pair of guys, aren't they? Or in the UK. So guys, I don't know if you have Bangers and Cash in the US, but they're like a pair of guys, older guys in the UK. And I think they restore cars, or they buy cars and sell them on, or I don't watch it myself, but they're having a big meet at the Motorist on the 23rd. I think they're filming an episode. So if you want to get along to that, guys, I think there's some TTs that are heading down to that from what I've seen. So yeah, I think Jules and is it James Sunderland that are organising that one? I think they've got that meet. So that's so get yourself along there if you're based up north.
Yeah, I'll be at the Motorist next weekend.
Oh right, okay. So Dom's there next week. Is that for that? Is it? That's not that for that. That's
that's just the Motorist. Yeah, it's the one that Jamie arranged.
Yeah,
but just a load of TTs at the Motorist.
Yeah. Oh, that's a different one next weekend, is it?
Yeah, that's the one that Jamie arranged. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cafe
Oh,
machine.
yeah. That's we just talked.
Cafe machine. Yeah. Sorry, Motorist. Cafe machine. Sorry.
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
not
That's
going to the Motorist.
No, Cafe in the Machine.
Yeah, Caffeine in the Machine is definitely. I mentioned that one when you were grabbing something. Yeah. So we've so that's one Jamie's organised. But I said I think they've sold all the tickets for that. It's completely sold out. But I
they
think
sold the 12 till 3. But
that's
you can get
right.
earlier or later. And meet us in the middle.
Yeah, I think that'll be that looks like that's going to be a busy old meet. Probably the biggest one so far this year. I think that's going to be.
Looks like it's going to be a good turnout, definitely.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be in because obviously I'm going to be in Swindon on Friday because I've got a game Friday night in Swindon. So if anyone's bored on Friday night at 10:30 and wants to come and watch the fastest sport on earth, come and watch me and loads of other old men skate round and lose badly to Swindon Knights 10:30 face off. But we are. I'm going to be heading back on the Saturday morning, and I am going to go via the Departure Lounge. I had a reply from the guy from the Departure Lounge because we are putting an event on there. So I'm going to pop in there on the way back on Saturday morning, maybe about 11, 12-ish. So if you're in the area of the Departure Lounge, you fancy popping in. I won't be coming up to Caffeine and Machine, obviously, unfortunately, because I've got to get back to sunny Kent. But yeah, so if you are around the area, fancy a cup of tea, then pop into the Departure Lounge. Obviously, we've got the meet on I've not mentioned it yet, but I think it's the 1st of April. There's a meet that you guys are going to out towards Braintree. Cars and Coffee, is it? Oh, I made that up. Pretty sure that's right. Chris, you've been advertising it, I think. You're looking at me. I thought you put Cars and Coffee. Is it called? I want to call it Cars and Coffee.
Oh, is that the
Braintree? Yeah, I think so. It's around Braintree way, isn't it? The 1st of April.
Yeah, that was me. I think is the kit car, MK Sports Cars.
Right.
Open
Okay.
day, so you can go. Obviously, we're building the MK kit, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's a good one because you get to see every engine that shouldn't be put into a tubular framed car put into a tubular framed car, including a Hayabusa with a turbo that I'm not kidding is like this big.
Yeah.
For a car that weighs 550 kilos.
Yeah. Ben's asked the question: if there's no Ockham this year, what's planned to be the big one this year? Well, I think the big one is planned to be at the departure lounge when we get that booked up. And although we're looking now at to be a Sunday, I think is the preferred date. And the response back from the guy was they have a boot sale on the Sunday. So in the UK, guys, a boot sale is a bit like a garage sale, but with cars.
Or
we
swap
call it a
meet.
boot sale,
Yeah.
or swap meet, yeah. And so I would expect that we would be able to have the afternoon there. So if we had it sort of maybe midsummer, we'll have to put some dates together, but we'd have like an afternoon, and that would give the guys that are coming a long distance time to get to the meet and have a lunchtime meet instead.
Especially if we give them a good amount of time notice before the date.
Absolutely right, yeah. So that's what I think we'll do. So that'll be the big one, I think, for us, Ben. It's not much further on than Ockham.
You could do an Ockham one as well.
We could take the chance. If any problems,
you're
in charge, speak to the guy with a beard. That's why I'm growing mine. I've got to try and catch you up. But that's that's yeah. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, so Ben's seen that, so I think that's what we'll do. Yeah, they'll say the skinny guy with the long beard. That's what they'll be saying. Who's that skinny guy with the long beard?
I'll take that, to be fair.
Yeah.
We do an episode on that because I want to know whatever he did. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's disappearing. You know.
He is. Yeah, look how far. Is it a perspective? No, he's definitely disappearing. He's half the man he was at the start of January. So he's
impressive.
He's an inspiration to us all.
Well done.
I'm going to go and get some more.
The stress of having so many TTs is you can't eat. Scared to eat because of the money cost.
Yeah, the money pits that they are. Yeah, absolutely. What we got? 3 days to bleed the damn brakes. Cheers, Audi. And it wasn't the ABS system from Total Rebuilds. So some of them problems bleeding their brakes, are they?
Yeah,
that's always an issue with the Mark 1.
Yeah.
Is there something that I've noticed that the OBD11 systems have got a way of some sort of auto brake bleed or something they've got in it that you can program it to do something through? I guess
you can. It operates the ABS pump, which forces air out. But the biggest one with the Mark 1s is it's easier to pressure bleed because then there's never the risk of running out of fluid and getting air in. You know, like if you pull a line off or whatever. And that's usually what people do is they allow air in and then it's forever an issue to get out.
Yeah, it's going around in circles then, isn't they?
Yeah, I've not got to that system part of doing stuff that causes that problem yet. Obviously, as you know,
Ervin's mechanics problem, that one.
Yeah. Discs and pads are my limit. Discs and pads. Anything
am I
involves
right? Am I right in saying when you're bleeding the ABS system, you always leave the ignition on?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because you've got to have the diagnostics cooked up, and you usually have to have it.
No, if you're not using diagnostics, you're literally just pumping the brake. But should you have the ignition on so the ABS system is always like active? That be right?
That makes sense.
Because that's the way I've always done it. I've never had a problem with getting air in, but like I know if you get air in, that's just like painful.
Yeah, there's a question there about, guys, is this good news? When I disconnect the MAF, my engine idles normally and doesn't sound off apart from the big air leak somewhere.
That means your MAF's not working.
Yeah.
Well, if you unplug your MAF and it levels out, there's a good possibility that could be one of the issues. But if you have an air leak, it's always going to make it run like crap anyway.
Yeah. Am I not right in saying, though, if your MAF is faulty, it should be, more often than not, it's chucking an error code on the engine management light? Because I've had that with the Kia. That was causing a problem just before I took it for MOT.
It should, but they're old enough that it might not. That's the problem.
Right, okay. Yeah. Okay, someone's put faulty MAF if it is better disconnected. Yeah. I think it can be a multitude of things, though, can't it? That could be one of the factors, but I think it's always. I think Dom raised a good point about a few months ago. He was talking about his spares collection, and he was going to offer a service that if you've got a potentially faulty part and you want to test it with a working part, he was going to do that. Have you had much takers for that, Dom? Have you people do that?
I've pinged out a few bits, N75 valve and a few other bits, but it's just where I've taken them off of known working cars, predominantly 225s. I haven't got really a lot of 180 or 32 bits on the shelf, but maths, I always any sensor I take off, I'll always test it first, just so I know I'm not keeping crap on the shelf, because 3 years time you'll forget and go, oh, I'm sure this one was fine. Plug in, you got another problem. You think, oh, maybe it's something else. So then you start looking elsewhere when really you've just got a knackered sensor.
Yeah, I mean, when I did the oil sensor in the car, I took it off and I put the new one on. I didn't do an oil pressure test on the car. I just put the new one on and hope for the best. Now, I think from what I've seen, there's almost like from an oil pressure test, would I be right to there's like something you screw into the oil pressure sensor hole and pressure test the engine? Is that how that's done, or it reads something
from
the engine?
I think the engine has to be running.
Put a gauge in.
Yeah, which obviously I'm not sure how you do that with the bits I took off the car, but at the same time, with that sensor now, if I want to test if that sensor is working, what would I use to test that? Because I've still got the old sensor, you see. Now I'm hoping if I test it, it's going to be faulty, because otherwise
you need to get another car, Andy. Another car, like
and do the test, do the change. Yeah, no, or not.
Put a bike pump on it.
Yeah.
Or a vacuum, like either a blow or a suck jobby, and then you can measure across the pin, and it'll open or open or close.
With like
there is a video on YouTube. I'll ping it to you.
Yeah, like a voltmeter, I guess. Just stick it on there and test the voltage on it. If it
for a part that's probably worth 5 or 10 quid, just throw it away and just live happy.
Yeah. Well, or I might be living in ignorance and I've not plugged it back in. I keep thinking, have I plugged that back in? Have I plugged the sensor? But I'm sure it would be throwing an error if it was not actually connected. That's the way I keep looking at it. And it hasn't gone bang yet, so that's always a good sign too.
I love in the video they go, oh, in case it goes bang, I'll turn down the radio so we can all hear it.
Yeah, well, you've got to take some precautions, right? Yeah. So guys in the US. So what? I know TT was your first car when you started, but what's your daily driver now? What would you say is your daily driver out of the cars?
Well, mine is the TT.
Your daily driver is the TT.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I drive it every day. It's almost at 100,000 miles. So that day I'm gonna buy him a cake or something. I'm gonna I might make some video just to say we made it. We made it up to here. But yeah, that's my daily. Yeah. What better? I mean, the weather here is great where I am. Not necessarily where Carlos is, but any day I can put the top down and it's just a great drive to work and back. Oh yeah.
What about you, Carlos? What's your daily driver, Carlos?
Well, for me, it used to be for many years, almost 10 years, I used to have a Focus ST. SVT back then is what we used to be called. And I drove that left and right. But after I did an assignment overseas, came back, I decided to get a larger car. And I drive a Taurus Show as a daily. It's all-wheel drive. It's good for the weather here. I know you don't get those there, but it's like a larger Mondeo, so to speak, larger than a Mondeo type car. Sedan, 4 doors, big engine, 3.5, twin turbo. So it's got power. It's nice just for daily around, and I use it just because of the weather for the time being.
Yeah, I think the Mondeo in the US, the Taurus, the Ford Taurus, is that right?
No, Fusion.
Is that the Fusion? That's okay.
Yeah,
because we have a Fusion in the UK, Ford Fusion, but it's a different car completely. It's a much smaller car. But
yeah.
No, I love my Mondeos.
Yeah.
If I had my way, I'd be taking that to the Nurburgring. But we could use it, take all the spare parts in it that we might need. But yeah, and yeah, I mean, Dom, are you dailying that lovely new car of yours at the moment? That lovely new TT?
Yeah.
Is that your daily?
I've been using it most days. Yeah, it's a great little car. I'm just scared of them wheels. The OZs are 19, so there's more wheel than tyre, and it's
they do look
me
good.
nervous. They do look good. I need to change the pads though, because them pads are crap, really crap. You get the best calipers and then the worst pads. Makes an average combination.
Yep.
But besides that, good.
Yeah, Chris, what are you dailying at the moment? Are you Mark II in, or are you dailying something else? You got that lovely new car of yours?
Yeah, no, I'm using the Mercedes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
buzzing around in that.
yeah. Mrs. has nicked the Touareg.
Oh, is she?
So yeah, I'm using the Merc.
Very nice. And Stephen, what are you dailying? Massey Ferguson?
But
Combine
no,
harvester?
the Lamborghini, like.
Oh, right, the Lambo. The
Of
Lambo.
course. Got the
Which one? The
Lamborghini
green
track.
Lambo or the yellow Lambo?
Oh, it has to be the silver one, like.
Oh, right, silver one, sorry.
No, my daily is the TT, and from my Instagram stories, I put up. I went shopping with my girlfriend, and she runs a restaurant. So we had, I think it was like 200 or 300 quid of wine bottles and everything else. All the ingredients for the shop or for the restaurant for the weekend, all in the back of the TT, and there was loads of room. We weren't too far from the shops, and if it wasn't, she was gonna walk home. So yeah, no, like the TT is a great car to drive, like, and we filled it back, and every time we went around the bend, you got to hear all the wine bottles just clinking as we went around the corners. And like, if we're in a crash, they're gonna think we're mad alcoholics.
Yeah. I think the TT is unfairly badged as having this tiny trunk space or boot space, and particularly if you fold the seats. If you've got a coupe and you fold the seats flat, you've got so much room in the back of the car. There's often pics on Facebook of people saying, "What's the most crazy stuff you've got in the TT?" And it's like all sorts of like building materials and all sorts of things. But even in the Roadster, I can get my entire hockey kit in the Roadster boot in the trunk.
Yep.
Get it closed and
card.
sticks in the car. That's the one trick that I think they missed on the TT. Is it needs that sort of like cubby hole hatch through the bulkhead so you can put long items through. That would be great then. Yeah, ski hatch. Yeah, there you go. I've seen a few pictures of people with skis on the roof of TTs on a roof rack. That looks quite cool as well. But
try and get some roof bars now.
Yeah, yeah. I guess they are still about. Are they? They do come up from time to time.
I had some in my. I had a coupe originally, a green coupe 180, and I had I was mountain biking by then, and I had the rack on top. The bicycle looked larger than the car, but it was a good look. It was a good look. I looked like somebody that was, onto something with.
Yeah.
And the car was new back then in 2002, I think it was, and with my mountain bike, I thought I looked very cool. Yeah.
So where did they attach the roof? Anyways, it's something in the roof rails. You do something with the roof rails. The little tabs you take up, the little flat tabs. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, there's no other way of attaching anything like a spurious roof rack, is it? It has to be the TT roof rack.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that?
They do the other ones with them little metal hooks that go under the, where the glass shuts onto. But that makes me nervous.
Yeah. But I've seen people then they put like a tow bar onto the back of it, but rather than putting like the ball for the trailer hitch, it's a square receiver, and you can put your bikes. There's a special rack, and you can hang your bike so it's going left and right.
Yeah.
I think they're probably a little bit more popular in the US than here, because we have probably more regulations that you can't have the receiver hitch be removable. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that's something I've not seen in the UK anyway. People having a tow bar on their TT. Is it a TT tow bar?
You can't have it.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Nothing to attach to.
I've looked into it.
Oh, have you?
Well, see, it's technically illegal to put a tow bar onto a car that's not made to ever take a tow bar.
Right. Okay.
Not that I think anyone would know. Like a policeman would pull over and say, "Oh, that's not meant to have a tow bar from factory." Like they'd know that. But there's no, because of the way the structure of the rear is, there's nothing to fit it to as such. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, nuts. So, I see Jamie Court said he got a child slide in his TT, so I'm not sure how big that slide was, but that's quite an adventure to pack that in. But yeah, okay, right, okay, guys. Well, I think the questions are sort of drying up a bit, and I think we've been on for nearly 2 hours this evening. So has anyone got any last words they want to sort of pass on? Any nuggets we've missed tonight to pass on to the audience?
That was
that was a no.
Come to the ring.
Okay, yeah, that's the big thing. Yeah, so guys, if you are if you are considering or thinking about coming to the ring, I can see from Dom's video earlier, there are so many things I'd not even thought about we're going to do. We're going to have an absolute crazy time, I think. It's going to be a really good
I've had six
little trip for us all.
people message me saying they've booked.
Fabulous.
That's great.
Awesome.
So I think we're going to have a good collection of TTs. So it's a shame you guys in the US are too far away. You could come and do the ring with us. But
Great monster, yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway, I hope to see some of you next Monday. That would be great.
yeah. So next Monday, 7:30 at in Brentford, Novotel. So if you need the postcode, guys, I will drop it into the chat. So we've into the video description, so you can pick that up. And we'll get to see Ervin. Obviously, Carlos, at some point we'll see you as well.
Yeah.
We'll come to the US and see you do it. Maybe do a road trip, do a coast to coast, and go and visit all these TTs. But yeah, it's thank you both for joining us tonight. I'm sure we'll have you back on in the future. And
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been great. Saying if you haven't checked out the Garage Buds channel, which I'm sure you have, again there'll be a video link in my description. But yeah, check out the guys. What is your YouTube? You've got it up on the screen there. So it's a garage_buds, is it right?
YouTube is Garage Buds.
Yeah.
All together.
Right. Yeah. Oh, your
Underscore is
Instagram
on
is
Instagram, and then on TikTok. I'm doing TikTok too, and then Facebook, Garage Buds channel on Facebook. Yeah.
okay. There you go, guys. You've got it all behind Carlos and Ervin there in the background. You've got their links, but so we'll put it in the video as well. Yeah, definitely get yourself on TikTok, guys. If you're not on it, I mean, Dom, you're on TikTok. I'm on TikTok. Chris, you on TikTok?
Nah.
Get yourself on TikTok. Steve, are you on TikTok?
No,
Get
I'm not.
yourself on TikTok.
I'm not cool enough.
Yeah, you are.
You don't need to do any special dance or anything.
Yeah, the greatest football team in the UK is also sponsored by TikTok. I'll have you know. So Wrexham Football Club are sponsored by TikTok, thanks to Ryan Reynolds.
Wow.
So there you go. If I guess in the US, has anyone heard of Wrexham in the US? I think it seems to be getting popular with Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. No, I'll take that as a no then.
No.
All
No.
right. Okay.
No.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll take that as definitely as a no then. Okay. Okay. Well, thanks both for joining us tonight, and guys, thanks for being on, being part of it as always. You know, we've got some great meets coming up. Get some details over to Dom if you want to come to the ring, and yeah. So from me, thanks for joining, guys. And say any words.
Yep. Nice one, people.
Good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you,
See you
guys.
later.
Catch you next time.
Thanks all, guys.
Take care.